Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
This is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where you can trust me on this. Because this week we watched Rise of the Cybermen and Age of Steel.
Written by Tom MacRae.
Directed by Graham Harper.
And aired on May 13th and 20th, 2006.
Nice, a name I know how to pronounce. Because we've had Graham Harper direct before. I was going to say on the show before, but that wouldn't have been correct. Because we haven't had Graham Harper on this show yet. But we have on Doctor Who. I mean, this show, like Trust Your Doctor, we haven't had Graham Harper on.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Graham Harper is the first and so far only classic series director to direct for the reboot as well. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Interesting there. You know, kind of a surprise that they wouldn't bring some of the more memorable names back.
Like what, Peter
Like
Grimwade?
Pip and Jane Baker.
Well, they were writers, not directors.
Well, whatever. Same difference.
Also, I'd rather have Russell T write, like, A New Earth than I'd have Pip and Jane Baker write something for the reboot.
No, honestly, I'd just rather they have fresh talent, quote-unquote talent, than bring anyone back, honestly, so...
Yeah, this is Tom MacRae's first story for the show, and only until season 6 of the reboot. Reattempt at Doctor Who.
Attempt number 2.
Attempt number 2, yeah. So it begins with an old dude in a wheelchair. Except not
it's
like
the
a regular
Davros
wheelchair.
Of the Cybermen.
Yeah, it's like a more advanced wheelchair.
They honestly tried to Dalekify the Cybermen in a lot of ways in this.
Yeah, they did. This is just the first of multiple.
Of like 3 or 4, probably.
Yeah. And there's a scientist who's like, well, they work. They work. That's kind of cool. And
you're like, I wonder what they could be. And then you check the title of the episode, and you're like, oh, it's the Cybermen.
Yeah, probably would have actually been a pretty cool reveal later in the first episode if they hadn't given it away in the title.
Yeah, might have just switched those 2 titles around and would have been good to go.
Yeah, yeah, because there would have been no indication that they were... I mean, there is no indication that they're 2 parts of the same story till the end of the first story where it's like, to be continued.
And they don't give a preview, which I think is the first time that they don't give a preview. I think they had previews in all of the other 2-parters, but I could be wrong about that.
No, I think you're right on that. I was thinking that too when I watched it, and I was like, no preview. Nice. Yeah, so they should have just switched the titles, but whatever, I guess. So you see like the silhouette of a Cyberman standing there, and the scientist is like, we've got to go to Geneva and get this approved by the UN. This is a new form of life. And the guy, whose name is John Lumick, is like, how about no? And just kills the scientist, or has the Cyberman kill the scientist by electrocuting him. First person to die out of, 50 in this story.
Yeah. So Geneva, once again, just cock-blocking everyone. Except John Lumick, he just,
Well, he just
goes around,
yeah. I don't even know if the UN has, any power in this world, since it seems like Lumick owns, everything anyway. So meanwhile, in the TARDIS... This is basically a Mickey story. Let's just get that out of the way here.
Yeah, it is.
So I
was okay with that.
Mickey's holding a button, and the doctor's telling a story with Rose, and Mickey's like, so when was that? And the doctor's like, alien planet, long time ago, it doesn't matter.
You had to be there to appreciate it.
Yeah, you probably did, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. He's like, how long have you been holding that button, Mickey? He's like, since 30 minutes ago, when you first told me to start pressing it. And the doctor's like, ooh.
You could have stopped 29 minutes ago, Mickey.
So Mickey, understandably, I guess, gets kind of ticked off that the doctor and Rose are just ignoring him. He's like, I'm just the tin dog, aren't I?
Well, he doesn't say that now. He says that later.
But he means it now.
Well, I don't even think he says anything now because all of a sudden there's an explosion and the TARDIS starts rocking back and forth. So the doctor jumps into action, flipping levers and switches and dials, and then the TARDIS just dies.
Yep.
Rip TARDIS.
I guess we can put it on the... we didn't talk about this, but we might want to put it on the death count.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. They're really playing up the TARDIS is alive whole deal.
Just wait till the doctor's wife. So, Mickey Mickey ignores all common sense and just walks out of the TARDIS because the Doctor's saying they're nowhere. They're probably not even in real space at all. There might be nothing outside the TARDIS. And then Mickey's like, turns out London is outside the TARDIS. And the Doctor's like, why would you do that, Mickey? You could have died.
But he didn't. Then again, back in the Mind Robber, when something similar happened, they just go out into that, like, interstitial space.
Yeah, maybe that's why the Doctor's so concerned now, because he doesn't want to mind robber himself again.
They got out of that pretty intact, though.
Luckily. The Doctor spent, like, half of that one episode just battling that mental being, and all we got was shots of Troughton looking kind of
confused.
Yes.
Anyway, they go out into London, and they're like, hey, we're back home. And you're like, oh, great, another story set in modern-day London.
Well, yeah.
And it almost kind of is, but not really, since it's actually alternate universe London.
Yeah, so Mickey and Rose are like, wow, regular London. And the Doctor's like, yeah, regular London, where there's Zeppelins just flying around. And they're like, wait, what?
Yeah, we do that. You didn't notice, Doctor? All the times you've been here? No, they don't say that. There are a couple Zeppelins in the sky.
Yeah, they have to bring the Zeppelin down in episode 2, and I started to wonder why they didn't just, like, shoot the balloon that was holding the Zeppelin up. I mean...
Sure.
It's the reason why Zeppelins went out of favor, and that was because one stray bullet kind of tanked the entire thing.
Well, they made it more interesting and really padded out the runtimes, so... I can forgive them.
Anyway, Mickey basically explains that this is an alternate timeline, like he's seen in those sci-fi shows where one thing changed and then everything changed after it, and Rose is like, hey, my dad's still alive.
Yeah, because they see an advertisement with Pete on it.
Yeah.
And you kind of wonder why, like, the creator of the product / the CEO or president, whatever, behind the company that created the product is in the ad himself. Maybe it was like that Domino's ad from like 5 years ago.
Or that Papa John's ad from like 2 years ago where Papa John orders Papa John's pizza to his house and then like tips the delivery guy like a lot of money because he delivered to Papa John's house himself, I guess.
Wow, meta.
A really weird ad. And it really doesn't make you want to order Papa John's pizza because you just look at Papa John's like massive house and you're like, wow. He's like trying to make himself out to be the everyman here, but he's got like a 50,000 square foot mansion.
What, you don't have that? Wow, no, yeah.
Yeah, why are we even recording here if you don't have a 50,000 square foot mansion? But
no, this actually does resemble that Domino's ad from like 5 years ago where what's his name appeared on the ad and like publicly apologized for producing crappy pizza.
Oh yeah, that one.
Maybe
with pizza companies and having those CEOs and ads?
Maybe Vitex was just a known awful product before, and Pete had to appear in the ad like, you can trust me on this.
I mean, the president kind of implies that later on, but maybe like when Pete started the company, he was the only employee, so he had to just record himself like in his bedroom going, you can trust me on this, and then it got really big for some reason, because everybody really liked viral video of Pete Tyler in his bedroom advertising Vitamix or whatever.
Not sure why we're speculating on the details of this ad so much.
Because it's an important part of the story.
I still wondered where windowsill milk was. You know, where did Pete go with that idea, huh?
Where did Pete go with the solar panels idea that would have actually made him big? Why didn't they bring that back? But instead they bring back his health drink. Anyway, Rose is like,
health drink.
Rose is like, wow, my dad's still alive. And the doc's like, if you trust me, you're not going to go see him. You can't see him.
Well, first he's like, that's not your dad. This is your AU dad, who's not
Which
really
is also
your
true.
dad.
Which, as it's revealed, is actually true. There's no Rose Tyler in this universe.
Well, there's the dog Rose.
Yeah, that doesn't really count.
I mean, I don't know. People usually attach their own last name to their dog.
I mean, that's
true. The dog
true.
is Rose
My
Tyler.
dog has our last name on his collar.
Yeah. So don't go jumping to conclusions there. Just because she's not a human doesn't mean... Actually, we don't even know if she's a she. Might be a he that they just named Rose.
Yeah, it's true. Could be. Although I think Jackie uses she to refer to the dog. Like when she's upstairs, she's like, "Where is she?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah, probably.
yeah. So then the doctor's like, "If you trust me, you can't see him, because it's going to be really bad for all parties involved."
Rose is like, fine, I'm just gonna go wander off and do my own thing then.
Yeah, Rose is like, "Well, screw you, doctor. I'm going to do it anyway."
She doesn't go do it actually at first. She just goes and sits on a bench and contemplates doing it.
But then she does.
And then she does.
Rose is like really irritating in this story.
Well, I didn't find her that irritating because she didn't really play too big of a role.
I found her most irritating at the end when... Well, we'll get there.
I think now is when Rose, or close to now is when Rose sort of reveals via looking at her phone that in this universe people get news streamed directly to their brains through their phones. They have like a joke of the day, article of the day, whatever. It's all controlled by Cybus Inc.
Cybus Industries,
whatever it's called.
This is like a whole proper daily download. That happens a little bit later, because right now Rose's phone just connects to the network and like she starts looking up Pete Tyler and stuff. But this is the Doctor and Mickey go back to the TARDIS, and the Doctor's like, "Why'd you let Rose wander off, Mickey?" And Mickey's like, "I didn't see her wander off." And the Doctor's like, "Great, Rose is gonna go muck about in this alternate universe." But first we have to lament the fact that the TARDIS is dead. But then he finds like one tiny part that still has power. Then the Doctor like charges it up with, I guess, some of his own like regeneration energy from the future, because he says it takes 10 years off of this lifetime. And he says in 24 hours it'll be fully charged and they can leave. So they just need to survive 24 hours in this alternate timeline without getting themselves involved in any sort of conspiracy or anything like that.
I think that time frame is wrong, though. I don't think it actually takes 24 hours.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, so I think he overestimates it. But I guess it's better to overestimate than underestimate.
Yeah, this is true. Because at least at the 24 hours are up, you'll be certain that it's ready to go. Anyway, they go find Rose, and then Rose is like, "I'm gonna go meet Pete," and the Doc's like, "No, didn't I say no? Why do my companions never listen to me?"
No, Rose is like, "Just try and stop me, Doctor." She starts running away.
And then Mickey's like, "Well, I'm gonna go the other way. You can only choose one of us, Doctor." And I'm like, "Wow, Mickey, wow."
Well, yeah, I mean, Mickey's kind of going off to do the same thing, as we find out in a bit. Although, I don't know why, but I feel it's slightly more justified when Mickey does it.
Well, probably because Mickey hasn't had this opportunity before, and Rose has already had her one shot at meeting a real dad, so...
And has already seen the side effects of how badly that went.
And also Mickey... Like, Rose saw her dad die later on. She grew up just knowing her dad is dead. Mickey, like, saw her grandmother die, as we find out. His grandmother die. Also, this is when Rose reveals that Mickey has literally nobody who cares about him except for Rose, because his parents are dead and he grew up with his grandmother who tripped on the carpet on the staircase and snapped her neck.
Yeah.
So, jeez.
But anyway, Mickey still feels left out because he's like, "Oh, you're only going to be able to chase after one of us, Doctor, and let's face it, it's not going to be me."
Yeah, what if the Doctor just been like, "Well, you know what? I'm coming after you, Mickey."
Now that you said that, Mickey.
Yeah, now that you said that, Mickey, looks like you're not going to see your grandmother, Mickey.
Wow, that would be kind of a dick move, actually, but no, he doesn't do that.
Yeah, but it'd be hilarious. I'm not going to lie.
Anyway, Mickey makes it to his grandma's place.
And there's a touching reunion.
I guess his place before his grandma croaked. And his grandma's blind. You find out she's blind when she opens the door.
And that's how she tripped on the carpet on the staircase.
Yep.
Mickey sees the tear in the carpet. He's like, "I told you to get that fixed." And she's like, "Well, why don't you fix it then?" I'm like, "Wow, Mickey's grandmother, wow." Why don't you just call up like some handyman service? Be like, "Hey, I've heard there's a tear in my carpet."
I heard. I guess she's blind.
Yeah, she's blind. It's not like she can confirm it unless she gets on her hands and knees.
She can touch it.
Well, yeah, she'd have to like trace out the entire carpet to find where the tear is, unless Mickey's like, "Hey, it's on the third stair all the way on the left."
Well, I think she probably went blind recently because she seems pretty bad at navigating her house.
Anyway, then Mickey gets kidnapped by some people in a van.
Well, his grandma tells him that she's really worried about him because he's been going around with them. And he's like, "What? Who?" She's like, "You know what I'm talking about. Don't play dumb."
She also calls him Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky. Yeah, I thought, I forget what the guy who plays Mickey's name is. Noel Clark. Yeah, I think he does a pretty great job in this episode
at differentiating between Ricky and Mickey.
That too, and just, I don't know, conveying emotion.
Mm-hmm.
I thought. When he's sort of tearing up when he sees his grandma, and
he does a better job than what's her name, Rose
Billy
later
Piper.
on. Billy Piper, yeah.
Yeah. In this story, definitely.
But yeah, I did notice that he did a pretty good job in the story. Maybe that's Graham Harper actually directing. I don't know. Graham Harper does a lot of interesting shots in the story that we haven't got in the past weeks. Like there's a shot that looks like someone attached a GoPro to the front of the wheelchair and it's looking up at John Lumick while he's driving around. I don't know. The shot's kind of like nonsensical and doesn't really add anything, but I thought it was kind of cool. So
he's like, could have never done this in the classic show. I guess I'll just do it now.
He's like, finally, I can do all those cool things I wanted to do. But I think this is when Pete goes home and, well, quote unquote home.
Yeah, it's not Rose and Jackie's flat as Rose remembers it. It's actually just a mansion.
Well, I say quote unquote home because Pete reveals later on that he's moved out, so it's not his home.
I guess. Yeah, I guess even an alternate universe can't stop the marital problems between Pete and Jackie.
So, yeah, he's like getting ready for her party, and it's revealed now that she falsified her birth date in her biography so she could have the same birthday to some famous celebrity.
Yeah, by 1 year.
Because there's a banner that says 40th birthday, and she's like, it's my 39th, and Pete's like, but you're 40. And he's like, but my biography says I'm 39. And Pete's like, yeah, the Jackie in this universe seems way more irritating than the Jackie in the regular universe.
Yeah, which is saying something. Also, why and who would read the biography of... what is... Never mind.
Well, Pete's like a really famous figure in this universe, apparently.
I know, but is Jackie a really famous figure?
I don't know. Maybe some people want to learn about the secret life of Pete's wife.
Rhymed. Maybe that's what her book was called. The Secret Life of Pete's Wife. It'd be a terrible name for a book, but, maybe. Anyway.
Or maybe she's really famous because, like, a lot of seemingly important people show up to a party, including the President of Great Britain. Anyway, Lumick calls up Pete and is like, hey, you're going to come to this meeting at 5 o'clock. And he's like, but my wife. And he's like, if the president can be at this meeting, you're going to be at this meeting, Pete. Pete's like, okay, sure. Good thing Pete's still a pushover in this universe.
Yeah, I guess. Meanwhile, Mickey is captured in the van of I forget what they're called. Starts with a P.
Yeah. Something with a P.
Partners. I don't know.
The partiers.
Partiers. Yeah, I really don't remember. But anyway, they're like, where have you been, Ricky?
He's like,
Like, we told you not to fraternize with your own family because it could put them in danger.
Well, actually, they're like, you were the one who told us not to fraternize with your own family.
Then he's like, oh, yeah, I did say that.
Yeah. I mean, he's like, oh, yeah. And then the guys are like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 died. That makes you London's #1 most wanted. And he's like,
Yeah, I guess in retrospect, the guy who died was London's #1 most wanted for, we'll get there. Makes you wonder how he died. Maybe in a parking accident, but
he just got slowly run over by his own car.
That would be a way to go.
Yeah, that's how Anton Yelchin died last year.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
Pretty sure we mentioned that on the show.
Yeah, I think we did.
So, Rose and the doctor's still trying to stop Rose, and she's like, you're not going to be able to stop me, doctor. Pretty much in that exact tone of voice.
Can't stop me now.
So the doctor's like, okay.
Playing the Queen song. No, actually, they just make the great choice to play the Lion Sleeps Tonight, or whatever that song is actually called later on. But...
So the doctor and Rose, this is when they see everybody get their daily download, and the doctor's like, that's kind of weird. Everybody freezes, and nobody moves at all, except the guy in the front, closest to the camera, blinks 3 times. And I really noticed it because he doesn't blink for the rest of the scene, and nobody else blinks at all.
One job, man. One job.
So, good job, extra. So yeah, this is when the doctor finds out also that Pete Pete's company was bought out by Cybers Industries, which is run by John Lumick, which basically runs Great Britain at this point. So I was like, I guess we can go to this party that Jackie Tyler's having to find out what's going on with Pete and Cybers Industries.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned this, but they find out that the earpieces that the people have in are what allow them to get the download, which is why the Doctor and Rose aren't affected, obviously, because they don't have earpieces, nor do the people who kidnapped Mickey.
They're called earpods.
Yeah. Gotta get that Apple branding in there. No, I don't know if this was actually...
No, I don't think so.
But, after End of the World, makes you think.
I mean, I guess. So they go to the party. The Doctor pulls out the psychic papers, like, there's one surefire way to get into this party, and then they get in as, like, staff, and Rose is like, you could have made us, like, famous people or something. The Doctor's like, if you want to know what's going on at a party, be a waiter. Yeah, which is true.
I didn't get this, because doesn't the psychic paper just show people what they want to see, and the Doctor and Rose can't really control it?
I think they have, like, some control over, some influence over what it shows them, but not, like, total control.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I just thought it was a bit unreasonable based on how they've explained how the psychic paper works.
Well, I think the Doctor typically knows what the psychic paper is going to say before he shows it, because I remember us being super confused in Tooth and Claw when he doesn't know what it says when he shows Queen Victoria, because he hadn't been unaware of what it said before that moment.
Yeah, I guess this is just a return to how it used to work then. But anyway, they get in as servers, and they both look like they're doing a pretty bad job at it. Their trays look like they're slipping out of their hands, and the champagne glasses look like they're about to fall over at any moment.
Rose has another, like, super jealousy moment, because the Doctor mentions talking to one of the other waitresses. I guess her name was, like, Linda or something. It's like, oh yeah, so according to Linda, that's the president of Great Britain over there. But before we continue with that scene, we should mention that the president and Pete met with John Lumick, and he was trying to pitch the Cybermen to them, and the president's like, look, I don't need your pitch, John. I already know what you're trying to pitch, and the answer is no. So, bye. But yeah, so the Doctor reveals he's been talking to this other waitress, and Rose is like, oh, you've been talking to this other waitress. You're good friends now, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, it's good to, like, talk to other people and find out what's going on. And Rose is like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I guess I'm just subconsciously tuning out all of the dumb love triangle BS that they're throwing in.
Which is mostly still on Rose, like we said last week.
Anyway, I think Rose confronts Pete.
Well, she doesn't confront him, she just talks with him.
Yeah.
This is when Pete reveals that he's moved out, but they're keeping it quiet for public image.
Yeah. And he sort of tells Rose about how his marriage with Jackie has gone south, and I paused at this point and wrote a note saying, why are you telling a random server all of this stuff? And then I unpaused it, and he's like, wait a minute, why am I telling a random server all of this stuff? And he's like, well, there's just something about you that I guess makes me want to tell you my life story, or that makes me comfortable around you, or something like that.
Which is the same thing as in Father's Day.
Yeah, and Rose is, you can tell, struggling not to tell him that she's his AU daughter.
Yeah. Then Rose goes to talk to Jackie. Oh God, this scene. She's talking.
She says some of the same things that she says to Pete, like, you can always try and give your marriage another chance. Pete's not actually that bad of a guy when it comes down to it. Only cheated on you a couple times.
And then Jackie just blows up at Rose. Who are you to be telling me this? You're just a servant. You're just a help. Why do you even think you can talk to me?
She's like, you're not getting paid tonight.
And Rose is like, yeah, that's true at least.
I'm not even on the staff roll. I guess in character for Jackie.
Yeah, but they blew it away.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to feel bad, like, later on when she gets killed. Spoilers.
No, I mean, it's also kind of hard to feel bad because you know that this is just an alternate universe that you're barely invested in, and the quote-unquote real Jackie is safe.
Well, like, in this universe, I don't know, I feel like they're trying to justify Pete cheating on Jackie, if he even did, because I don't know if they explicitly say that he did, but...
I think they just really heavily implied it, but, maybe he didn't, I don't know.
They're, like, trying to justify it because she's, like, a total raging, and she's, like, just kind of not a nice person at all. Like, at least the Jackie in the Prime universe is, like, has redeeming qualities about her, and is like her irritation, I guess, to us is just that she's kind of overbearing on Rose. She just like really cares for Rose, but like in this universe, Jackie being really irritating is just Jackie being a bad person. So
well, maybe we haven't seen enough of this universe's Jackie to really tell, and I guess we never will.
Well, I think I saw enough to say at least that she's like an egotistical person. She's like really egotistical,
I guess. Yeah.
So then the Doctor's like hacking into a computer system because he wants to know what's going on with cyber industries.
He just sees he passes by a door that's slightly ajar, and he sees the computer, and he's like,
Just gonna hack into this computer. Yeah. So he does, and he finds out. He just says cybers, and we're like, what's a cyber? I thought they were gonna try to reboot the Cybermen with a really cool name here, cybers, like they were gonna do in the TV movie. But yeah, thank God they didn't do that.
No, they just rebooted them in other ways.
Yeah, apparently Russell T didn't want to like give the definitive origin of the Cybermen in the Prime universe because he thought the timeline was already so muddled around the Cybermen that he didn't want to even attempt it, and also because he felt like other stories had already tried to approach the genesis of the Cybermen, I guess, in the Prime universe, so he didn't want to try and do it again on the TV show, which is why he put it in an alternate universe. Which is fair, I think.
I guess, yeah, makes sense. I mean, Russell T is the one who redid Mickey's character like 3 times, so he doesn't really have any qualms, apparently, about redoing things, but, you know, whatever.
Well, so...
I guess retconning, like, a Cyberman origin would be sort of touching, like, the quote-unquote sacred origins of the show.
Not that stops Stephen Moffat, but anyway. Also, like, this universe, which is referred to as Pete's World, actually does play another role later on in this season. So it's not like it was just for this story that the whole alternate universe was created. There's there's another reason why that alternate universe exists.
But anyway, the Cybermen attack. Now, we forgot to mention, before Mickey even got kidnapped, there was a scene where someone who worked for Cybus went out to sort of like a shanty town area, I guess, and lured in some homeless men with the promise of food into a big truck, and, well, they get turned into Cybermen.
Yeah.
And one of Ricky's associates gets it all on film.
Jake, I think, was his name?
I didn't know his name. It was the spiky-haired guy.
Yeah, I think it's Jake.
The guy who looked like he was from an early 2000s punk band.
With frosted tips. Guy Fieri.
Oh, God.
Let's take a trip to Flavortown. It's not where the homeless people are going.
Jesus. Anyway, they bring Mickey to their hideout, which is just an apartment.
Yeah, it's just not very like hideout-y. It's just... Anyway, they walk in and they're like, "Whoa, Ricky, what are you doing over there?" And Ricky... this was the only part of Noel Clarke's acting in the story that I felt was pretty weak, because he goes, "But what am I doing over there?" And he like really overacts it, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, he does a dramatic point straight into the camera, and yeah.
That was like the only thing in the story where I was like, no, you could have maybe toned that down just a little bit. But yeah, so they're like exact duplicates of each other.
In his defense, Ricky is sort of an over-the-top guy, especially when you find out what he's actually wanted for. How he wears that long trench coat and pretends. Anyway.
Yeah, so they're like identical, and Ricky's like, "Maybe we're brothers." And the other people are like, "Nah, I mean, that doesn't make any sense." But they just kind of just go with it at some point. They're like, "Well, I guess he just looks like you."
Mickey doesn't explain his origins, understandably.
Yeah, because who's going to believe, hey, we came here in a time and space machine that somehow broke the laws of time to break into this other universe? Oh yeah, we forgot to mention the Doctor said that inter-universe travel should be impossible now that the Time Lords are dead, because they were the ones used to monitor all the gateways between all the alternate universes, but when they died off, all the gateways closed.
Yeah. Then again, that part was kind of weird, because I guess it makes sense, and it's nice that they're establishing something like that. But all the times in the classic show where they have gone to alternate universes, unless you want to just say every time they time travel they go to an alternate universe, has been sort of like an anomaly.
Yeah. Well, I think, like, you know, when they went to E-Space,
yeah,
like, there was, like, an anomaly that they went through, and I guess the thing is, like, that anomaly is kind of like a gateway. Like, Warrior's Gate established that, when they were coming back, it was like actually like a gateway.
Yeah, but one they were never really supposed to pass through, whereas the dialogue in this makes it seem like, it would be monitored by the Time Lords.
Well, I think like maybe
accessible.
You weren't supposed to ever go through those gateways, but like when you did, the Time Lords monitored when you went through.
Maybe.
And like kept the gateway open so you could come back. But like when the Time Lords went away, the gateways closed because there was nobody to monitor that nothing was coming through from the other side and that you weren't going through.
Guess they did a really crappy job of monitoring that E-Space gateway and the like Inferno World gateway.
Well,
whatever.
There's also no Time Lords in Pete's world. I guess I don't know if they mentioned that in this story, if they mentioned that later on, but there's no Time Lords in Pete's world.
Because I don't remember that.
Yeah, actually, I think that was later on. I think that's in Doomsday.
Spoiler alert. I had a feeling this wasn't the last we were going to see of Mickey anyway.
Well, we'll see. Huh. It's basically Mickey's final appearance as like a regular character on the show, though.
Yeah. They actually gave a companion a decent write-out for once.
Yeah, it's the first, like, proper write-out in the...
Since Susan.
In the reboots. So Adam just gets dumped off and what, Jack just gets ditched, so... Anyway, the Cybermen attack and the Doctor's like, well, let's just run. Because they're killing everyone.
They start killing a bunch of people.
The president's like, what if I refuse to be upgraded? And the Cybermen are like, you will be deleted.
Yeah, they tried to give the Cyberman a Dalek-like catchphrase, and they chose deleted or delete.
Yeah, because I guess it's like Cybertech-E. They dropped that pretty quickly, I think, when they realized that kind of sucks.
They also give the Cybermen in this universe a sort of Dalek-like origin where they, the Daleks started out as the Khalids and they were human-like, and sort of the same deal here.
Yeah, although the Cybermen have always been like Dalek-esque like that. Like in Spare Parts, they were the humans of Mondas who were trying to go out and rescue the world.
I mean, since 10th Planet, they were always like an quote-unquote evolution of normal humans as we know them, or as we are,
or just humanoids in general, if you buy the Void turning into the Cybermen.
But ever since 10th Planet, it was established that they purposely, and this is in Spare Parts too, they purposely removed their like emotional capabilities in order to evolve. Whereas in this, it's just one like maniacal dude controlling everything.
Yeah, it's one dude trying to basically lengthen his own life, and then his creation gets away from him.
And in this, they have, I think, emotional inhibitors, whereas before they somehow removed their emotions entirely, as we saw in Spare Parts.
Well, so I think what the story did really well actually was that it actually, I think, did a good job of updating the Cybermen, because the original Cybermen, like, were playing on that whole fear of, like, replacing your body parts. Like, you get so into making yourself look beautiful or whatever that you turn into a Cyberman. That was the original conception behind the Cybermen. And I think this story did a good job of updating it to, like, 2000s, when it was like the fear was everybody would become so attached to technology that technology would take over, basically.
Yeah, it did do a good job with that.
So, I don't know, I liked that they updated the Cybermen, I guess, and made it more relevant, I guess, to today's times, because like the original Cybermen, like, they look spooky, but maybe that's because their costumes are like, right?
I mean, this is the best the Cybermen have ever looked.
Yeah, I think bar none.
They updated their designs. They have a new voice, which is kind of reminiscent of the 10th Planet voice, which is still the best voice, in my opinion.
Yeah, the costumes for the Cybermen are, like, really well done in this story, I think.
There's some callbacks to the old costumes, like the little teardrop thing.
Yeah.
It's not as pronounced, thankfully.
But they did bring back that little teardrop thing. The Cybermen all have, like, a really unique way of walking, too. They, like, walk like actual robots now.
Yeah.
Which I think is good. I mean, it never really made sense for the Cybermen to just walk and move like regular humans now, did it? Because they're supposed to be metal, so the only reason the original Cybermen could do that was because they were just wearing canvas painted to look like metal.
Well, this is just sort of headcanon and justification, but it kind of makes sense that the old Cybermen would be able to walk normally because they were upgraded in order to make themselves more efficient. Because they were dying out, whereas these Cybermen weren't necessarily upgraded for that reason.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
But obviously it's just because of the costumes themselves, so, whatever.
This also continues Russell T's tradition, I guess, or plan to bring back one major classic series villain per season. So last season it was the Daleks, this season it's the Cybermen. This season
it was the Garm and Tooth and Claw. No.
Yeah, right, the Garm. Yeah, this season was the Cybermen, so slowly easing everybody back into the show.
They did mention how, I think Rose mentioned how she saw the Cyberman head in Dalek.
Yeah, that's actually right now, because at the end of the story, like, they're surrounded by Cybermen, and Rose is like, I saw the Cyberman head in the museum, and the Doc's like, yep, we have Cybermen in our universe too. Spoilers.
So they get surrounded, and the Doctor surrenders, but the Cybermen aren't having any of that.
Yeah, they said they're going to get destroyed under maximum deletion.
And in a very classic series style cliffhanger, everyone's about to die.
And in a very classic series style cliffhanger resolution, the Doctor just immediately solves it in the first 2 minutes of the next story. He just pulls...
Maybe in the first 10 seconds, to be honest.
Well, the first 20, 30 seconds were a recap, and then he solves it.
All right, whatever. If you're getting that specific, sure.
He just pulls out the piece of the TARDIS and blasts them with the energy from it, and they run away, and I was like, wow. I didn't remember the resolution being that lame. Then he just get in the van and drive away.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I think we mentioned in the classic show, like, maybe if they didn't do the Doctor and companions are going to die every single cliffhanger, it would be better. And maybe that's true in some capacity, but it's not really better here. I mean, we haven't had anything like this in a couple months at least.
Yeah.
But it's still not really better.
Well, because they resolved it in such a quick and lame way.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, we can get on with it and not dwell on that, I guess. So they run away. Then
the Doctor... Really, there's a lot less that happens in episode 2 than episode 1,
yeah,
as appears to be tradition for the reboot so far.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. I think they sort of reconvene in a dark alley. And they're like, oh god, what are we going to do?
Yeah, so, well, actually, on the van ride over, Pete... They reveal that they've got a government mole, and Pete's actually been working with Cybers for way longer than the public knows.
Yeah,
and then Pete reveals that he's the mole.
Yeah, because they mentioned their mole, I guess, named Gemini.
And Pete's like, yeah, I'm Gemini. Encoded transmission 862 or whatever. And they're like, oh wow, you actually are Gemini. Oops.
Pete's like, the only reason I was even dealing with Lumic is to get to the bottom of this. And I was like, really? Was that the only reason?
Yeah, probably. This Pete also seemed like way more, I guess, heroic than regular Pete. More brave.
Kind of, I guess. Yeah, sure.
He wants to go back for Jackie, but Rose is like, if you go in there, you'll die too. Jackie's dead by this point, and he's like, okay. But then later on, he, like, for some reason believes that Jackie's alive and got processed to be turned into a Cyberman.
Yeah, I guess we don't really ever confirm, like, if it's actually Jackie or not. I mean, you can just assume that it is, and it probably is, but...
Well, we see Jackie go into the facility way, way before Pete and Rose even get there.
Yeah, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that the one that they confront is Jackie.
No, but it is good evidence.
Yeah, it's good evidence. You never know.
We forgot to mention there was, like, another foreshadowing bit of the Cybermen, which is why the reveal would have been good when Lumic hacks into Jackie's brain and little antenna come out of the earpods and, like, form, like, a pseudo-Cyberman head around her head.
Yeah. That was kind of cool.
Anyway, Lumic's, like, begin processing of everyone in London because no one wants to give me permission to turn people into Cybermen, so let's just do it by force, basically.
Basically, we get some nice CG shots of the facility that turns people into Cybermen. It looks pretty cool, pretty decent CG there. They do
decent for its time.
I guess for the show at least, they do something that they seem to be doing a lot on the reboot and that I don't really like, is that within the span of a couple hours, they want us to believe that all of London has been affected by this thing. They've done that multiple times before, and they do it again here. And
I think it works here because electronic signals travel pretty quick, so they would all get that signal immediately.
Here it works a lot better than in, say, like Father's Day, because everyone's wired into this network that can control them. But still, I don't know. I don't like how they play this up so much, and I don't like how they keep bringing it back when it usually doesn't work that well.
Well, they're doing the same thing that the classic show did, but in a lesser capacity, which is trying to build a sense of, I guess, danger by just killing everybody off screen and then saying like, oh yeah, everybody's dead.
Yeah.
Which is like a really cheap and ineffective way to like try and build suspense. Because unless you show everybody getting killed, then there's really no reason to believe that everybody just died off screen.
Or, actually kill someone who the viewers maybe care about, which they do with Jackie here, but like I mentioned before, it's kind of lessened by the fact that this is like the new Jackie / alternate universe Jackie that you don't really know as well.
So the Cybermen pop up and they're like, we're going to chase you, ha ha ha. And then, so they split up and Mickey goes with Ricky. And, okay, the long and short of it is they run around for a bit and Ricky just gets killed. Ricky makes a critical error when he runs to the end of an alleyway and sees a fence, and instead of immediately jumping and climbing the fence, panics.
Yeah, makes you wonder how Mickey, who seems to have a lot fewer survival skills than Ricky, makes it through, although I guess it was just due to blind luck.
Also, I think it was revealed that Ricky's the most wanted for parking tickets.
Yeah.
Then he tries to justify it by saying those parking tickets were intentional. Fight the system.
Park anywhere. But yeah, looking back on this portion, I guess, it was actually kind of lame. I was interested while watching it, I guess, engaged, whatever, but kind of just do run through some dark alleys and streets, and that's really it.
Yep. That's all.
Yeah.
So they
kind
meet
of Scooby-Doo
back up.
like, maybe because they mention how Ricky and his gang are sort of like the Scooby-Doo team.
Yeah, because Pete's like, I've been a mole for years, and then I get rescued by Scooby-Doo and the gang. Great. But they meet back up, and then they come up with this plan to like shut down the facility to stop everybody being cyber converted. And
which is that Mrs. Moore, who I don't think we've even mentioned yet, who is a member of Ricky's group. Because
her entire role to this point was driving the van, so...
Yeah, her role in the story was basically to provide the tech, have a semi-touching backstory, and then get killed. So they only have 2 pairs of whatever
fake earpods,
or non-functioning earpods, I think they were. Mm-hmm. So Jackie, Pete, and Rose decide to put them on and infiltrate the Cyberman facility.
The doctor's like, I'm not going to be able to stop you, am I? She's like, no. The doctor's like, okay. Here you go. And then the doctor forgets about Mickey. Says him and Mrs. Moore are going to go underground and Jack needs to blow up the Zeppelin. And Mickey's like, well, what about me? The doctor's like, ooh, Mickey. Mickey.
And Mickey, in an awesome scene for his character, I guess, or an awesome bit, I guess, is like, you know what, I'm tired of being sidelined. I'm going to take matters into my own hands.
I'm going with Jack. Jack's like, I don't need your help. And Mickey's like, I don't care. I'm coming with you.
Really stepping into Ricky's shoes there.
Not really.
Yeah, not really. No, actually, because later on, I think he tells Jack, I'm not Ricky. I'm not a replacement. I'm just doing my own thing. This is what I want to do. But I think this decision by Rose to be a little stubborn is a lot more justified, especially because her mom is in danger.
I guess, but there's no indication that, okay, first off, there's no indication that her mom's even still alive, and second off, Rose was the one who told Pete that anyone still in the house was dead at the end of the first episode, so I don't get why all of a sudden now she thinks that maybe Jackie survived.
Yeah, it's her mom. I can still kind of understand why, but yeah, I don't know. I guess Rose is starting to get a little more annoying. But,
And so they go and they execute the plan, and Mrs. Moore...
Flawlessly, no.
Mrs. Moore and the doctor... Well, the only people who execute it flawlessly are Mickey and Jack. Jack's gonna, kill the guards.
Jack spin off when?
Jack's gonna kill the guards. I think his name's Jack.
I don't know his name, honestly.
I know it began with a J.
But yeah, he's gonna kill the guards, and Mickey's like, no, I don't want to kill them, because if we do, then how are we better than the Cybermen?
Good point, Mickey. Yeah, his name's Jake. I was close.
Jake. So they just use a chemical that I guess Jake just carries around to knock them out.
for when things get serious.
Never know when you're going to need this.
So they knock out everybody on the Zeppelin, apparently. And they make it to the control room, and they're trying to turn off the transmitter, but they can't get into the box. So Mickey's like, well, maybe we can hack into the system and turn it off. Meanwhile, Pete and Rose run into Cyber Jackie, and she's like, hey, I know you. You were my husband. I'm Jackie. Ha ha ha. You helped create us, so we're going to take you to the special processing unit.
Yes, we find out that these Cybermen retain their memories, which the regular Cybermen always did, but
they're a lot more homogenized, the regular Cybermen.
Yeah.
These ones are homogenized too, but they seem to retain like fractions or fragments of their memory. The Doctor and Mrs. Moore are running away from the Cybermen in the deep cold storage, which turn on now, and then they escape, but then they run into a Cyberman, and Mrs. Moore chucks like an EMP bomb at it and knocks it out.
Yeah, this part where they're running through this narrow corridor is pretty cool. It probably could have been shot a lot better, or shot like in a way cooler way. But I'm not going to fault them for it. They're in this narrow corridor lined by Cybermen, where all the Cybermen aren't activated, and as they're running through, they start activating.
Yeah, pretty sure
it's really cool, kind of terrifying.
The same 5 feet of corridor over and over and over again.
Probably.
From different angles.
Got to use that Flintstones budget-saving technique. But anyway.
Yeah, she like knocks out a Cyberman, and the Doctor opens the chest and like looks and is like, oh yeah, artificial nerves, yum.
Yeah, it's sort of just this white goo. They find the emotional inhibitor, which is new to these Cybermen.
Yeah, the Doctor's like, do I have the right to just kill all the Cybermen by deactivating their emotional inhibitor? And Mrs. Moore's like, you have to. More people will die if you don't do it. I'm like, are they really dead if they're inside the Cybermen suit? I think we decided not to count them as dying if they get cyber converted, because they die when the Cybermen die.
Yeah, but what was interesting about this plot point is that when their emotional inhibitor is deactivated and they regain their emotions, they can't handle being in a non-human body, and that kills them. I get one of them's head blows up because of it.
Well, yeah, because they can't process like.
Yeah, and that's an interesting like concept in science fiction. I guess sort of a new way to take the Cybermen is like, can a human mind in a non-human body even work, or is like being human totally dependent on the body itself?
Well, it could work, and it seems like the story was touching upon like if you were converted willingly, then you seem to be okay with it, whereas if you were forced into it or you did it without your knowledge, then when the inhibitor comes off, you're terrified. Like Lumic doesn't seem to be concerned at all when the emotional inhibitor goes off, because he was basically willingly converted. Oh yeah, the old guy Crane tries to kill Lumic because he, I guess, realizes the error of his way. Bit late, buddy. But then the Cybermen are like, well, Lumic's like, I'm not going to be converted till I breathe my last breath. And the Cybermen's like, well, breathe no more then.
And he gets converted into the cyber controller.
With a way upgraded wheelchair. But yeah.
Yeah, kind of lame how they tried to go for a Davros-style leader here. It just doesn't work out.
Well, we've had the
well.
cyber controller before.
Yeah, but I mean, a guy in charge in a wheelchair who converts all of his people into a new form of life, like, you know what they were going for.
Yeah, but the motivation was different.
Yeah, but he just wasn't Davros. He just wasn't Davros.
Yeah, he wasn't Davros.
He was Lumic. He was a lot lamer than Davros. Anyway, we get two characters' backstories in these tunnels, and I guess we'll just slightly touch upon them. Mrs. Moore found out information that she wasn't supposed to find out, and
they tried to kill her.
Was able to escape, and now is living off the radar as part of Ricky's group. Although I guess now she's dead off the radar.
Great.
And the Cyberman that the Doctor kills, whose name I forgot.
Sunny, I think it was, or something like that. I couldn't actually hear her name properly.
She was just someone who got converted and had kind of a sad death.
She was going to get married tomorrow.
Yeah.
She's like, it's so cold. Why am I so cold?
This was more effective than anything in Spare Parts, to be honest.
I didn't think so. I felt the one in Spare Parts was more effective because you had known the character for the whole story. This was just like dumped a Cyberman on you and was like, I'm going to exploit your emotions now and make you feel bad for this Cyberman. Which, I did feel bad, but like I didn't...
Remove your emotional inhibitor.
I didn't feel like it was as impactful as Spare Parts.
I liked the cold aspect of it. Really made me think about something I never thought about before, like how How does it feel to be in the Cyberman body? Cold, apparently.
Anyway, the doctor's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, which is one of his catchphrases. And he kills the Cyberman. He turns it off. And then he just stands up, and then in the most underwhelming death in the past, 5 weeks, Mrs. Moore just stands up and just gets killed. And the doctor's like, you didn't have to kill her, and that's the last we hear of Mrs. Moore. Until the very end.
Yeah, come to think of it, kind of weird that the doctor says you didn't need to kill her, because the Cybermen obviously kill people.
I don't really know what that line was going for, to be honest. So then, yeah, she just dies, and I was like, what?
Yep. Gotta write her out somehow. Can't have her mucking up the rest of the story by being there with no dialogue.
So the doctor gets taken to where Pete and Rose are, and the doctor's like, oh yeah, I'm getting captured, but it's okay, because Rose and Pete are still free. Yup, good job, guys. There's a funny line earlier when they're standing on the hill, and Mickey's like, so what's the plan? And the doctor's like, I don't know. And Mickey's like, you're just making this up as you go along, aren't you? And he's like, yeah, I am, but I do it brilliantly. And Mickey just kind of does, you're right face.
The massive ego. Kind of annoying, actually, but I guess it's not going away anytime soon.
Well, it does lead to his
quote-unquote development.
I was going to say death.
Oh.
So.
Who, the doctor? I'm talking about the doctor.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
So am I.
All right. Anyway, the doctor starts filibustering.
I mean, he's basically buying time because he realizes that Mickey's watching on the camera, and he's like, if Mickey could just find the deactivation code for the emotional inhibitor, then
he confronts Lumic, basically, reveals his new cyber body, and he talks about how people in this day and age are really great at using computers and can even use it to find deactivation codes and things
for emotional
of that
inhibitors.
Nature.
You idiot! And Mickey hears the word idiot and is like,
That's me. So he starts trying to access the code, and he does so.
We forgot to mention the Cyberman that attacks them, and Mickey tricks it into smashing the control, and then all the people who are being controlled into being converted are like, so they run away. And then the Cybermen just get overwhelmed by regular people with no skills at all. They're being shoved out of the way by just completely ordinary people. Really makes the Cybermen seem super sinister,
Oh, God.
They look really confused.
Then again, they are just regular people who've been converted, so, whatever. That's just my justification for it.
The regular Cybermen were super strong and had those laser beams that they could shoot out of their chest and head later on.
Anyway, Mickey finds the code, sends it to Rose. Rose tosses her phone to the doctor, and the doctor attaches it to the panel. So real team effort here.
Yeah, kind of like in the MacRae where Ben finds
That's what this made you think of, the MacRae terror?
Yes, because Ben finds out how to kill the MacRae and tells the doctor, and they do it. I don't know, it's like a team effort, team genocide. Yeah.
Anyway, the Cybermen get overwhelmed by their regained emotions. One of them's head explodes.
One of them looks at a reflective piece of metal, really, and touches their face really sadly, and the doctor in the background says, "I'm so sorry," which is a pretty cool shot, I think.
I'm sorry that I'm not sorry. No, he doesn't say that.
Yeah, the doctor's pretty torn up about having to kill all the Cybermen, but it's the only way, I think he realizes.
Yeah, I thought Dalek did something similar, but a lot better.
Really? I don't think the Doctor cared at all about killing the Dalek in Dalek.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't exactly the same. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the Dalek wanted to die, but it just kind of reminded me of that, and I didn't because in that the Doctor was sort of torn up about the decision.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of hesitates for a bit, or whatever, and so does Rose. But here, there's not much hesitation. Maybe it's just due to runtime or whatever. It's just sort of like he questions it, which was nice, sort of a character development-y style thing, and he just sort of goes along with it. Not even 2 seconds
I think
after, but
he goes along with it when
all right.
it's obvious that he's not going to be able to convince Lumic to go back on it, because Lumic's trying to convince him that taking out his emotions are good, and he's like, have you ever felt pain and loss and grief? And the doctor's like, you know what? Yes, actually, a lot. And Lumic's like, wouldn't you like not to feel pain?
And Mrs. Moore kind of just convinces him within 2 seconds anyway, before she dies.
And the doctor's like, no, but pain makes us strong. Anyway,
then... Yeah, no pain, no gain, Lumic. They dropped that line.
They escape. They like fly away on the Zeppelin, and like Lumic climbs up, but Pete uses the sonic screwdriver to break the rope ladder, which is apparently a function that the sonic screwdriver has.
Are you really surprised? Really surprised at this point? I'm not.
No. Doesn't work on wood, but it does work on rope. Nice.
Lumic falls to his supposed death.
Yeah. And then we get touching goodbyes as Mickey decides he's going to stay.
Yeah, this. I was really surprised by this. I mean, I guess it does make sense, but I was like, wow, this is really out of nowhere.
I knew it was coming.
It wasn't really out of nowhere, but I was just really surprised by it.
This is when I felt like Rose is at her most annoying this story, because she's like really upset that Mickey's leaving. She's like, we have something, you can't leave. And I'm like, no. You don't get to like string Mickey along, basically ignore him for 3 months, and then act like you're really torn up about him leaving.
Well, I think she is really torn up about him leaving, because regardless of the romantic BS, I mean, they're still close, they're still friends, and they've still known each other. Rose and Mickey have known each other for basically their whole lives.
I mean, yeah, but it's like Rose has
she
been
does
like
kind
really...
of she does guilt trip him, though, so yeah.
She's been like really
dismissive
of Mickey these past couple weeks, and like at the end of the last season when she's like, I can never go back to regular life, and Mickey's like, you could at least like not say that around me, you know?
Yeah, but I think this would have worked a lot better if we hadn't already gotten like this same thing like 3 times that they keep redoing for Mickey for whatever reason.
Anyway, Mickey mans up, realizes he's gotta go on. The doctor is like, you know, we can never see you again. He's like, yep. And the doctor's like, I think the doctor realizes that this is what Mickey needs in his life.
Yeah, there's Mickey says there's basically nothing for him in his own universe. His grandma's dead.
But she's still alive in this one.
Yeah, I guess he's just working a dead-end job, like not really doing much, whereas here he can actually make a difference, stop the Cybermen, become a badass action hero.
Yeah, it's kind of touching on that thing that School Reunion touched on, which is that like traveling with the doctor makes the companions better people in a way, because when they leave, they try and go out and do good, kind of like how Nyssa went to try and cure the Lazars. Don't know what that says about Steven just becoming king of that alien planet, but like Mickey goes off here to go and basically liberate this entire world from the Cybermen.
Which, is that the right decision? I don't know.
I think it is for Mickey.
Well, yeah, for Mickey, but I would really like a Cybermanified world. Because I hate freedom, but just had to drop that. But anyway.
The doctor and Mickey shake hands, and the doctor tells him good luck, and tells him to take Rose's phone because it's got the activation code on.
Would have been pretty funny if she accidentally just took it, and as the TARDIS was dematerialized, just wait a minute, wait. I'm sure you could find the code again, though, but...
And then Mickey goes off with Jake, and he's like, I'm not going to replace Ricky, but we can fight in his name. I'm going to be my own person. He's like, wow, okay. And he's like, let's go liberate Paris. And he's like, what, 2 of us in a van? And then Mickey's like, yeah, I once saved the universe with a big yellow truck. And that's the last we see of Mickey as a regular character.
Yeah, so this is probably the best write-out since Susan, honestly.
I mean, it's one of the better ones. I don't know if I'd put it like right at the top. I'd say top 5 for sure. Because I don't want to have to try and think of other write-outs.
Since Turlo, at least.
Yeah, since Turlo, at least. Okay, I'll agree with that.
I mean, Ace didn't really get a write-out.
No, because the show ended with her and the Doctor going off to save the universe some more.
But anyway, I really liked Mickey's character.
Yeah, this is Mickey retrospective. Let's go.
Yeah. He really grew on me. He was really annoying in Rose.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised actually when they brought, I think I've mentioned this before, but I was surprised actually when they brought Mickey and Jackie back as recurring characters, because they didn't really do that in the classic show of having people from the companion's own time become important in the show.
Yeah.
But that just really gave Mickey opportunity to grow on me as a character and have some more development, which he did. He had a lot of development in his 1.5 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Mickey is one of the strongest characters they've written for the show so far. He has the most character development of someone who's left anyway.
He has the most character development of probably any of the, maybe not the most, but he's one of the most developed companions.
Yeah, because he started as just a random nobody with
he started,
no life, I guess.
You got to see him as just like this evolution of from this just sort of annoying guy who just kind of hangs out and doesn't really do much or even take responsibility for any of the things that he does do into what you see here, which is him going to liberate the world from Cyberman tyranny, apparently.
And I don't know, I feel like
he just chickens out 5 minutes later off screen.
I think you feel kind of bad for him because he starts to get strung along by Rose. Later on, I think he starts to get just kind of blown off by everybody, including the Doctor.
Yeah.
Last season, anyway. Less so this season, but still this season.
Well, they played it up this season like, yeah, he's just a tin dog, but then they actually went somewhere with that.
Yeah, because he's got super tech skills, so he can help out with the revolution. It's a bummer to see Mickey go, but just because he's gone as a regular character doesn't mean he won't make cameo appearances. The reboot, I think, does a lot better job of showing companions' lives after they leave the Doctor, which is something I kind of wish the classic series had done more, because it makes it feel more like... It makes the Doctor, I guess, confront the repercussions of traveling with the Doctor more, and I think it also is nice to see people come back later on to show that, they're still doing well and like...
Nice to have recurring characters on a show.
Yes. Like, it's nice, 3 seasons after a companion's left to see them pop up to say, hey, and be like, oh, hey, look, they're back and they're doing good, and nice to just see them pop in and have a nice little adventure. Like Sarah Jane, it was nice to see Sarah Jane come back.
Yeah, gotta up those ratings by including those popular old companions. No, it is nice. Yeah, it's nice, I guess.
Anyway, and then finally at the end of the story, they go back to the regular universe, and Rose hugs her mom because wow, you're alive. And then Jackie's like, what happened? Where'd you go? And the doc's like, we went very far away. She's like, what happened to Mickey? And the doc's like, he went home. And it ends on that really somber note.
Pretty touching. Hopefully he gets that carpet fixed.
I feel like that's the first thing you would do. I mean, I know he said he was going to go liberate Paris, but I think priorities here.
Would be pretty sad if his grandma just died in all of this. The Cyberman attack, the carpet, there are plenty of opportunities here.
The Cybermen attack the carpet.
I mean, that's not what I meant, but I guess, yeah, that's what I said.
And then we get a trailer for next week. Next week is a Mark Gatiss story.
Yeah, this was one of the best previews, probably the best preview of the reboot so far, because it only hints at to what's going on.
Yeah, it's just scenes of people saying things about weird things going on, and then at the very end you see a brief snippet of something weird going on.
Yeah, actually, probably the only preview that doesn't just flat out spoil the next episode.
Yeah, whoever edited that preview, give them a raise.
Or just give them the job of doing it all the time. Or if it's the same guy who's been cutting all the other previews, then I guess he's improving.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. And yeah, so that's the end of this story. I thought the story was pretty good.
Yeah, pretty strong. This is my favorite of this season. Mainly because I just like Mickey, and he's probably my favorite character of the reboot. And this was a Mickey story.
Yeah, I really like Mickey, and I think the story was strong in a lot of other ways as well. I think it did some interesting things with the Cybermen, and I think the design aspect of the story was really good. I put it up there with School Union for me at the top of the season.
Mickey spinoff when?
There was a brief mention of Torchwood in the first episode at the party. Yeah, someone said, hey, how's that Torchwood thing going? Where's Torchwood when the Cybermen take over? Where's alternate universe Torchwood, when you need them? And
maybe this Torchwood isn't similar to the regular or Prime universe Torchwood at all. Maybe it's just something completely different.
Maybe. I mean, I was thinking, when the story ended, where was the diversion in the timeline from the original one? And I think maybe it's probably Pete living instead of dying. Although, Mickey being named Ricky would have occurred before Pete.
There seems to be dying. A lot, but there seems to be a lot of other things that are different, like New Germany. What's that?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the butterfly effect theory, right? That like a timeline is really susceptible to small changes, and that a small change early on can lead to like a big change later.
Yeah, but we don't really know if Pete living was what was different or not.
No, we don't know if Pete living was the change, or if it was like a product of the change.
Yeah.
Which is like what I was thinking about, like what I just thought it was interesting to think about, like what was the change that set this entire alternate timeline in motion.
Yeah.
I guess. So, yeah, I don't know. Strong story. Before we end, I guess we should mention the Christmas special episode, since when this episode goes out, it'll be a week after this episode.
Yeah, really getting into that Christmas spirit.
And we probably want to at least give people a little while to read the story we're going to be doing.
I forgot. I don't even know what story we're going to be doing.
We're going to be doing a short story called
The Hopes and Fears of All the Years,
which was written by
Paul Cornell,
published on
the Telegraph website.
So that's what we're going to be reading. We'll put a link to it in the show notes.
Yep.
And so that's what we're going to be reading and covering on Christmas Day, along with other things, because it's Christmas.
Yeah. And we're still going to have our regular episode the day before that.
Yeah, because Christmas,
we do every Sunday.
Christmas this year is on a Monday, so we'll have our regular episode on Christmas Eve, which is the Sunday this year, and then the Christmas special on Monday, which is a week from when this episode goes out, which is 2 weeks from when we're recording it. Yikes. Wow, Christmas really coming up on us. Anyway.
Gotta get that shopping done.
Yeah.
Now that I have Amazon Prime, I can just wait till the last minute.
Wow. Nice. Really getting dependent on that technology. Better watch out for the cyberization. Anyway, you can email us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on Cybermen, Cyberwoman. You can find us on YouTube at Trust Your Doctor. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and Google Play, also at Trust Your Doctor. Leave a rating if you liked the show.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. And next time we're watching The Idiot's Lantern. But until then, the end.